All right. Uh, I'm going to go after pornography today. And again, my views do not reflect that of Love It Machinery or of just getting distracted by some messages here, or of the Knox Mountain Hill climb. But obviously there's an association between the Knox family and Presbyterianism and Christianity, and you got the triangle here, so that's the Holy Trinity. There's a bit of symbology here, and this is the path to heaven, to the very peak, to a lot of people. Just by looking at it, and what is heaven to a lot of people? Especially in this age where we're chasing this idealism of the perfect utopia. It's like a Black Mirror episode, the one where the suicidal person running on a treadmill and being bombarded by pornography, and then the alarm goes off when you decide to close your eyes, because the real alarm is that you can't visualize anymore any of the people that you've been with, and the memories are being erased, and then therefore you don't have an identity so much anymore. And like having grown up with computers, and you think of that Simpsons episode where they're like they're making fun of it. Oh, we can finally see Captain Janeway without any clothes on, and it's hilarious with Milhouse. It's an old goodie. Let's see. The thing is that this pornography and sex trafficking, with strippers and prostitutes. That's the terminology I'm going to use. As it's illegal. Because that also eliminates the possibility and legislation for, legalization rather, of humanity's oldest trade, which is sex for a service or a commodity, because we're sexual beings. That's just the gist of it. To ignore it and to try to control it, to such a high degree, when I think about the Handmaid's Tale, again, the first season, and how too much liberalism, so too much hedonism, which, as I've mentioned in other videos, is fueled by drugs and an over availability of beautiful things. Right? This is what happens to people, is that when they have too much of a good thing, then they become desensitized to reality itself, and the frequency and the instantaneous nature, again, in this digital frontier, the post-internet epoch, all these terms and terminologies I've been using in these videos, especially as an artist, right? Artists have a tendency towards hedonism, because we stare at, the same with many rich people, right? You spend so much time around the best in the world that you keep trying to find new ways to stimulate yourself and be happy. It's called chasing the dragon amongst addicts and drug culture. It's just like once you're peaking, a peak is different for every person. Then you just keep wanting to get a reuptake and try to go higher and higher, but then you burn out, right? The overstimulation, the hyper-stimulation, And again, the ease of availability and ease of access now, even to children, it's all over the place. Even the softcore, and the suggestibility. And again, I'm not against it. I'm just saying that there has to be more respect for ourselves as humans and humanity and our bodies, because we only have one in our entire lives. And I don't like this idealism of, with the plastic surgery. I'm more of a naturalist. This hypersexualization and idolization. Again, this utopian idealism, which is, again, follows fashion and the arts. Because you look at the fertility goddess, and she's a large woman, right? Big hips, large breasts. So from an anthropological perspective, where there's tribes that emphasize different aspects for status and so on and so forth, with costumes and body modifications. So again, with body dressing and how so the gay community pretty much established their own tribe in order to have a shared identity and traditions. This is how and why rebellion happens, right? It's very well documented with child and youth development psychology, in that of course you want to forge your own identity, and hence why the propaganda is so effective against children and young and women, is because of the cohesiveness requirement, in the fact that we are social beings as well as sexual. This is just absolutely essential for survival. But we here in North America and many other places in the world, again, I only speak for Canada, this wealth and this gluttony of stability, and the illusion of a culture, so to speak, because of all the challenges and the fact that we don't stand up for ourselves against foreign threats and foreign infiltrations and influences, that which becomes unhealthy. Again, I look at my paintings every once in a while, and I remember flashes of what it was like to put them together. And I'm staring at Licorn, right, the unicorn, France's largest nuclear test ever, and the movement that's in it, and I visualize the rotation and the expansion of the gas, and how I was thinking about that, and how being desensitized to even our own family. If I'm going to relate this to say an art talk, I may get more in depth into why I painted that, the symbology. And again, we always hurt the ones that we love, the ones we shouldn't hurt at all, because we just get so used to who they are, and you take it for granted what that person brings to your life. And especially this is what the pornography destroys our appreciation, because of the overproduction. And frankly, when I've been viewing pornography, I try to go for the amateur stuff, or just to try and say I prefer to look at the woman. And honestly, because if you're gonna ask me what my sexuality is, I'm straight, thank you, sorry, that's it, that's the end of the matter. I have no doubts in my mind about that, because just so much doubting, and this gender ideology, and this this identity crisis that is the crux and the tip of the spear, the tip of the lance, right? That which leads to the charge of demoralization, so that we don't have a fighting spirit, and we just let anything, overtake us, because it just gets so tiring after a while. The constant bombardment of the stimulation and the stress and the cultural PTSD, right? The mass psychosis, the anxieties associated with these things, the hypervigilance, never knowing when or where you're going to be assaulted and what from what angle, because people talk and we gossip and we find different ways to tear each other down. And so, like, I got in. I'd say my first time I viewed any kind of pornography or anything like that with the internet was probably like 12 or 13 years old, and a lot of young men see it even earlier than that. What can I say? It's not something that I want to disappear, and I don't currently view any pornography whatsoever. I haven't for close to a year now, because it was just, you stop being conscious about, or say you just begin to be more conscious of the people that are involved, and the fact that they're not objects and that they're people, and that they get used and abused and they get trafficked around, and some of them aren't even doing it willingly. Some of them are doing it because they don't have any other options in life. And then some of them are just plain screwed up. Okay, you're absolutely messed up. They need help, and it's that help is not always available to them for say therapy or trying to resolve childhood traumas or whatever. They're trying to work it out themselves, whether through an adaptive or maladaptive coping. And it's just like we have to begin humanizing people again, because of the means by which that we communicate with each other, and the fact that at the end of the day, when you're viewing pornography through a computer or through a phone, you're having sex with the phone. You're not having sex with the person, right? The immediate association with the dopamine response and the oxytocin release. From my amateur understanding, and trying to approach this from a historical perspective, because historically pornography has always existed. It's just the fact that it was much rarer and it was more taboo. And there's because what's the real purpose of sex besides bonding? It's for reproduction. The primary goal of sex is reproduction. That's the truth of the matter. Otherwise, you and me, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. And I was never really addicted to porn in the first place. And I'm not going to put people down for having these addictions, because they do exist. And I remember one of my girlfriends, whom we were very active when I was in college, and I was taking my aircraft structures course, and her father had an issue with it because he felt so alone and isolated. I don't remember the exact scenario. Either his wife passed away or they got divorced. Something tragic happened, and just looking to be consoled and to have some validation, right, and some fantasy for this utopian idealism of what a relationship is supposed to be like, and the pornography of the propaganda and vice versa, because at a certain point they're the same. Sex is sexy, sexy is the goal, in order to sell this lifestyle, sell this utopian idealism, this body image of what it is to be a woman and what it is to be a man, which causes a mire and an expansive number of issues, because the idealization doesn't meet reality, and you're confronted with the shame and the guilt thereafter if you really think about it, and hence why it's intermixed with other addictions, say with video games, or with gambling, or with substance abuse, because at that point you just want to be anyone but yourself, right? And hence why, I'm addicted to art. I'd rather be addicted to creating things for delayed gratification and achieving almost impossible things for extreme delayed gratification, because otherwise life doesn't have any rewards, right? That's like the symptomatic of existential depression, or even mixed with serotonin syndrome, because mental health is physical health, and this new not this new understanding, but this emerging reestablishment of this holistic approach to physiology and the diagnosis thereof, because of the corruption and how our culture has gone completely off the deep end, and it's infecting the rest of the world, as is different means of control by psychopathic people who just see other people as objects to be manipulated and to made profits from. Again, not necessarily, they didn't start that way, but they end up being like that because the corporation doesn't give a shit. The government as an organization doesn't give a shit about you, right? The company itself doesn't give a shit about you. It's the people that do. And your relationships matter, right? And the isolation and the constant assault of the stimulation, again, through the easy access via technology, and that for which supports the propaganda and the propagation of it, which leads to our ruin. That's the gist of it. And I don't have much space on my phone right now, so I can't really ramble much more than 20 minutes. And I'm not going to choose to for this one, because the message is already clear, right? You have to stop jerking off so much. You stop being a coomer. You have to stop, having start having this conversation with our partners. What are we really trying to accomplish here? How is this a replacement for intimacy? How is this affecting our relationship? And this is why I don't support polyamory or any of these other lifestyles, because I'm more interested in a strong and solid lifetime relationship with my family, my friends, and my wife, and my girlfriends, right? I don't like this abandonment and this transactional nature of society as it is right now, and as how it's developed. And hence why I know that younger people, and reading all this material, are returning to more to traditionalism, because that's just the only way, right? There's a reason why monogamy works for the most part, is because it secures genetic lineage. And that's what I want as a man. I don't want to have to raise someone else's problems. Hence why in society, unfortunately, why single mothers have such a lower status, is because there's this perception that they don't have, they have baggage, rather. They have undealt with problems and so on and so forth. But so do single fathers, right? So do single people altogether, right? It's not just them. It's not just their problem. It's all of our problem. And we need to think about that and stop jerking off so much.